Welcome to the show. We hope you have a blast. Thanks for making time for the Dealer Talk podcast. Another business.
What up? Welcome to another episode of the Dealer Talk podcast. This is your host, Herb Anderson. Thank you so much for tuning in. Listen, let's just get into it. Today, we have none other than Mr. Paul Long. What up, dude? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's good to have you. This is going to be awesome. I kick things off with a little bit of a background, dude. So tell us about you.
How I got into the industry itself? I've worked every job out there, I feel. Dropped out real early in high school and started up a maintenance company for about 10 years. Then got sick of babysitting. So got into, actually I was buying a trailer. And I was one of those guys that literally hopped dealership to dealership to dealership, did all my basically research on the vehicle. And I realized, A, the guy I bought off of had a really cool job in sales and he made a shit ton of money off me. And B, I was just talking because it's different with trailers. So when you go to buy a trailer, they just like go in the lot, find what you want, bring it back to me. So I'd be just talking to customers and they'd literally have them sold on a vehicle just because I knew so much about the trailer. So after I wanted to get out of the transition of that, I said I wanted to get into sales, and it was a no-brainer. It was Mopar, no car. It was the only thing I knew, only thing I loved. And then the nickname was just something that I had as a PlayStation nick. That's just how much I loved Mopar. I was born a Ford guy because of the grandfather, but my whole family now is Mopar. So
okay,
yeah.
So let's talk about that. So the Dodgefater, right?
Yeah.
So. Give us the story, man.
Oh, well, basically when I started in the industry, I had zero Facebook, zero Instagram, zero social media. And I learned quick that it's basically the wave of the future, especially with millennials and just getting out there for free marketing and advertisement. So I finally said, screw it, I'm going to make the plunge. And the guy that was doing our marketing told me I needed to come up with a nickname. And he came up with Mopal, like Mopar.
Okay.
Like, that is garbage. There's no way I'm calling myself Mopal. Well, my PlayStation name back in my Grand Theft Auto days was TheDodgefater. And he's like, I love it. Let's do it. So simply started with that. And then I started basically just doing, I didn't want to be that pushy salesman that just like buy this car with this video. I wanted to be the guy that was, you felt like you could get well informed, you could trust. And I wasn't being pushy. I was just showing you, started off, my first few were just Wrangler Wednesdays. I just want to show you some cool things about Jeeps most people don't know. That is where it all started.
Right on, man. So I love that you talked about the how you notice social media and the impact. And I guess my initial question on that, because I definitely want to cover that topic with you, is do you feel the necessity to prepare for that? You know, like have a plan, an objective kind of a situation, or should you just go and you know, just kind of figure it out as you're doing it?
Key is just do it at the end of the day. I feel you're an idiot if you don't jump on board. I mean, I am where I am now because of it. My employers here have found me because of my online media. I have an ongoing following of consecutive sales I make every month just through my following on Facebook and Instagram. And I don't definitely think anybody that's even questioning to make the plunge, what's holding you back? You're just sitting there waiting for the bus. Like there's nothing in it. You're getting out there to mass market of people without paying a damn thing. How does that not make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I love that you're bringing that up because, you know, especially for the people that are taking ups listening to this, I think that's something that they need to really kind of reconsider. I believe that you do have to have a strategy. Obviously, you should have a goal. But at the end of the day, man, if you don't hit that red button and you don't start recording and posting, like, you know, it's not going to happen. But, you know, I think having a strategy helps. It helps you quantify the effort. And more importantly, it keeps you motivated. Because sometimes you can start, and I don't know what your story is. Maybe you can share with us as far as when you got rolling. But how long did it take you to like be like, oh shit, this is actually working? Like I'm actually getting sales off of this thing, or people are actually recognizing me off of this thing. Like how long before that clicked?
Well, so when I started the whole idea of doing social media, it was I just want everybody to know, my friends and family, that I'm here, because obviously I don't want to call everyone a muck. But after doing the first few vids, so I'll tell you one thing for everybody out there that's nervous about doing their first vid. I will send you personally my first video, because I'm not letting it ever see the day again after it went out. It was god awful. And the hardest part is not filming it, friends. It's pressing that post button. Yeah. That is the toughest part. When you just accept. My biggest thing was I didn't want trolls. I didn't want people trolling my shit. I was always worried about what are people going to think. And at the end of the day, brush it off and just do it, because you're only going to get better with it. You're only going to get more comfortable with the camera, and you're only going to get better ideas the more you progress through it. But everybody always wonders, how do you get out there? What is the magic formula? You don't. You just do it. There's no question. You suck up that uncomfortable feeling you have in your stomach, and you just do it. That's the key to it.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I like that you talked about your first video too, because I often think about that too, and like I wonder if you were to see that video now, how much of a how much you would criticize it. You know what I mean? So,
I don't want anybody to see it.
Right. But the reality is, dude, is that it worked for you at that moment in time, because you didn't know what you were doing, and it was your first one. And did you get anything off of that one? Did you get like at least a couple of encouraging comments, or?
Yeah, I got my first troll was my brother, so I just sucked it up.
Yeah.
I kept saying, that was another key thing. So you'll start watching your videos of picking apart things that everybody's go-to word. That's probably the worst one I've had. But through the lineup of all the videos, it probably took, it went pretty quick, maybe a month before I started having people reach out to me off my Facebook page or coming in off a video I did on an particular vehicle. So the motion goes pretty quick. And the key is, not everybody's in the market right now, but if you get your face out there enough, and this is another thing people don't understand, Jason Harris, guy that really helped me out with a lot of the branding, has really stressed upon, it's not about how many people like your shit. It's not about how many people, leave a comment. The key is just constant post, staying on their mind, because it doesn't matter how many times they don't like your shit. It's the moment they see you over and over and over and over. When they are in the market, they are going to come to you as your go-to guy. Yeah. And I built a lot of ongoing relationships with exactly that. People reaching out that, they feel they've got over that awkwardness already of, sales is buying a car is pretty stressful to the average consumer. It shouldn't be, but it is. And they just feel like they've got that first walk around with me, and they feel comfortable with me before they even met me, because they feel like they know who I am. And that's another nice thing about the videos, or just about that you've gotten over that first hurdle already, right?
Yeah, and the trolling thing, man, it's just not for that person. It doesn't mean that what you have isn't good or it doesn't provide value to somebody. It just means that it's not for that person. So why even pay attention to that? I don't understand that concept. I do know that it's difficult to do, and I do understand the fear of, like you said, posting. I think that was very, very well stated. It's not so much recording the video, because if you record it and nobody sees it, does it really matter? You know what I mean? But posting it and sharing that with an audience can be, it's nerve wracking. You know what I mean? Oh, what are people going to say? Are they going to like it? Is this the right thing for me? Sort of a deal. But if you are going to do it and you get that, then just why even pay attention to it? I know it's hard, but
that's what it is. And feed off it. I think it's hilarious, some of the comments I get, outreach from other people. And at the end of the day, again, brush it off, move forward. It means you're doing something right, because if the haters means they're jealous. At the end of the day, you're doing something they don't want to do or they couldn't do comfortably, right? So, yeah. I mean, the first few kind of hurt my ego a bit. You deep down and you kind of reconsider things. But now I love it. I think it's hilarious, some of the comments you'll get. And at the end of the day, you're still getting exposed. So
exactly.
Yeah, right?
And the other thing, there's an underlying advantage, in my opinion, to doing this is it creates thick skin, man, which a salesperson, a successful, salesperson needs. You know what I mean? So I think it's a win-win, man. But, not everybody could be posting, because then it just becomes the norm. And then what do? You know what I mean? What's that next thing?
I feel like that's really where it's, even just from the time that I've started this. So when I really first started getting online, I kind of went online to see who else was doing it. And there was a few guys like General Motors Jeff, Josh Parkinson here, but there wasn't really anybody. And I wanted to be a face for everybody to feel comfortable with. And that was kind of the ideal. But now I'm starting to see more and more and more as we progress. Joe Schmo from Something Auto Sales, look at this used car and buy it. I mean, but they're understanding that's how you're getting out there, right? It's free marketing. Like, why would you not get yourself out there?
So let's talk about that, because you mentioned that earlier too. Free marketing. I agree, it is. But do you pay? Do you do ads as well to get more reach?
Depending on the size of ads. I know that my dealership as well, we were just doing like little 30-second commercials, things like that. And instead of just doing, the flash of the typical dealership ad, which let's say is 99 out of 100, it's just scrolling down. This is the deal on this vehicle, and it's just pictures, right? So I would try and get a little creative with it, and and have some humor with it, and some laughter. And at the end of the day, that's the things that will kind of pitch forward. But I'm lucky. I have a lot of people that share my stuff as well. But that really helps at the end of the day too.
Sure.
It will be, if I'm trying to mass market something, obviously you're going to pay a little bit for it, but I don't really put too much money behind it, to be honest with you. And I probably should put a little more to expand it. But at the end of the day, the followings are following and they're helping out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What about on Facebook? It's in particular. Do you ever do Facebook ads? Like you pay like $100 or whatever and target your audience and stuff? Do you get that specific?
I've done a few, but I'm definitely not the best at. I'll be straight with you. I'm a gorilla with computers to begin with, so trying to figure out anything. Like all my videos being edited. When I came from Woodstock up to here, I had Justin Robinson, another sales rep, and he turned my videos to the next level. Like completely helped out with just making it clean and polished. I wish I knew how to do that, but I have no idea at all when it comes to computers. And the same thing, I've sat down with Jason Harrison, tried to figure out how to do these marketing things. But and at the end of the day, brother, you figure out what you're good at and let the marketers deal with that. And that's kind of the idea behind what I have behind that. I don't know what I'm getting into when I'm trying to do. I want Ram motors for the truck. I don't know what. I'm not very. That's not my forte.
Right. No, there's truth in that, dude. Like, why, there's different schools of thoughts. I'm of the school of thought, to your point, that focus on what you do well and get better at that. Because if you focus on the stuff that you're not that good at, like if you're not good at editing videos and you go into doing editing videos, you're only going to grow this much because it's not your thing, But if you're good at being on camera and getting the message and delivering that, and you just focus and hone in on that specific skill, man, the exponential growth that you're going to have with that, just, it's going to compound and eventually it's going to overshadow anything else.
Better.
Yeah, for sure. So I agree. So, okay, let's talk about this because I think that some people, there's two things that come to mind. Like they think that it's got to be perfect, right? So we're striving for perfection, which it can cause paralysis, right? Well, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to wait until I have the right camera, until I take the class and the lighting and all this other stuff, which is not good. And then the other thing is, they may think like they see somebody like Jason Harris, which is pumping content, all the time. And then they're like, well, I can never, I can never keep up with the volume. You know what I mean? It's just me, one person.
Guys pumping that out. Exactly. But you do what you can where you start. Any content's better than none. Absolutely.
So do you do that? Do you have somebody at this point that does your videos, cuts it, edits, posts, all that stuff? Or are you still the guy doing it all?
No. I as I said, my strengths are not editing whatsoever. I have no idea how to use the program in the slightest. I'll post things like any of my Facebook, delivery photos or any quick little ads that I do, something like that. But as for the editing, no, I definitely have somebody else that's completely a lot more functional in that idea. I would spend way too much time trying to learn that. As I said, I hate computers as it sits. So there is no way I could pick apart myself trying to build a video at the end of the day. I siphon in on, I'll be the kind of idea of what I want to do for the video, kind of roll off of it when we're shooting it. And the rest is just put off to them. And then when it comes back to me, that's when I'll promote it.
Right on. So yeah, man, let's kind of moving along here, the conversation. Let's talk about results, right? Because ultimately, for anybody that's listening to this, that may be kind of on the fence, should I do this? Should I not do this? I think you should definitely do it. But let's talk about what that means, because I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding. Like, they may post a video and they're expecting the video to get all these likes and views in order for it to consider successful. Number one, it does nothing for you as a local salesperson. Let's say that in this case, you're selling cars, to have 100,000 views on a video. You can't sell cars to those people, right? If they're not, you got to focus on the smallest group of people. I'd rather post something in my local market that's going to get maybe 100 likes and comments and shares, but I can sell those people cars. They're in my backyard. I mean, how do you, like, what does that mean to you? You know what I mean? Like, as far as results.
I completely agree to start off with is the likes. And we live in a world where our ego just builds off that. We want to post something, we want to see 100 likes, and we want to see numbers and views, right? But likes aren't paying my paycheck. At the end of the day, my ego ain't paying my paycheck. So likes are nothing. As I said, when Jason Harris mentioned, because that was my big thing. I'm like, I'm only getting 200, 300 views on some of these, and I'm only getting 10. He's like, Paul, stop letting your ego get in the middle of it. Are you selling the car? Well, yeah. Then what the hell are you complaining about? And that's literally it. You're directing it to a market that's actually going to be doing something. I mean, are you trying to get Facebook famous, or are you trying to sell that damn car? And that's the difference, right? You're not a movie star. You're just a salesman trying to push your product. And that's kind of what you got to accept, that the likes don't matter. The views don't matter. If you're getting your point across, you're doing more than most. And if you're selling it, even better.
Yeah, but it's really hard to, man. Like I've gone through that kind of cycle myself, where it's like, oh, well, this isn't, it didn't perform the way I thought it was going to perform, or in my mind, I thought it was going to perform. And then you're like, well, is this really worth it? Is it? But to your point, like, listen, if you're getting a sale off of it, it worked, right? If you were able to talk to one person off of it, it worked. And so, I think when we do the things because we're either trying to get exposure or we're trying to sell that car, and we stop worrying about, the trolls and the likes and all that stuff, I think that's when it gets really, really powerful. It becomes work worth doing. When we're just doing it for the vanity metrics, I think that's number one. I don't think it's going to work because your mindset isn't right. And that translates, And then number two, what's the objective there? You know what I mean? Like you said, you're not getting paid off of that stuff. You ultimately want somebody to come in and buy the product so you can get the commission, right? So as far as
the videos to get famous, you're doing the videos to sell the product. So think about that. At the end of the day, I don't care. I don't need 1,000 likes. I don't even need one like. And that's another thing too. I'll know, it's like, even Jason Harris, you see his content everywhere. And that's when I first started. He's like, how many likes do they get? How many views do they get? That's true. Some of them are not even like read at all. But you know what? Everybody knows who that guy is because it's constantly on the feeds all the time. And that's the key to it, right? People look at it as they want to be known and famous, but you get famous subliminally if you just keep pumping those damn videos out, those pictures out. They don't even know they're taking you in that much. You are now their go-to guy. Yeah.
Consistency, man. That's really what it is. You got to be consistent in the effort. I agree. But so what's the, for you, like, what's the objective of your message? Do you focus, or do you have like a specific strategy? Well, I'm focusing on X, Y, Z when I do these videos, or it just depends, or like, what's that setup like?
It really depends on the videos that I am shooting. Like with any sort of marketing, you've got to either open up the demographic to the wide audience, but obviously the best type of marketing is going to be when you siphon down to a very small market. If you can literally pump it down to age, genre, what their enjoyment is. I mean, you can do, just for instance, a Ram commercial. You could do a 1 to, I don't know why this thing keeps adding up here. 1 to construction workers, or 1 to the working man, 1 to the farmer. 1 that just wants the decent size for the family hauler. These are all things too that you got to siphon in when you're doing these videos. To basically see a defined market that you're trying to really siphon it into.
Right on. No, I agree with that. I like the segmentation. I think that's brilliant. Although it may take a little bit of time, but it's a different message for the different consumer, and that makes sense. I'm a big believer in and I've been posting a lot of articles lately. I'm thinking actually about doing an article a day for a while and see what that feels like. But I'm a big believer in talking to the smallest group of people, right? Like, it's no longer it's mass marketing. It's is somebody marketing is what I call it. Like you're talking to somebody specifically versus trying to reach an audience. And I think that that's smart. That's probably the evolution of this deal, because I feel like a lot of and this is what I love about the podcast, and not just mine, but Cirillo's and Jason Harris and some of these other big names. I like that we're having these conversations because people are consuming this information, and some of them are going to implement, and they're going to take action on this information. And eventually you'll have a lot of this going on in the industry, which is beautiful. But then it's going to become okay. Like I mentioned earlier, if everybody is doing it, then what's the kick? It's going to be that specific, what you're talking about. It's going to be segmentation of the content and having a specific message rather for that specific customer. Have you seen your strategy when it comes to that, to the messaging itself? Have you seen that evolve as you've been doing it longer?
Well, as in anything, like I've just been in the industry for almost 3 years now. So,
wow, dude,
very fresh.
Yeah, dang.
So, I like to say that I know a little bit. It's just about the product. I really am I'm not one to say I'm a veteran at all. But I will say, like, just the social media itself has really helped out, obviously, moving ahead. I know veterans that don't sell as much as I do, and what you get out of that. But as you're saying, I do find when you make these videos in particular for a certain crowd or for a certain demographic, you get better results because it makes them feel like it's for them rather than just feeling mass marketed video. Mm-hmm. And that's what is this whole industry about? It's about building trust, building loyalty, and making them comfortable. And they're going to feel like you're reaching out to them. And that definitely makes a big difference.
For sure. I like that. That makes a lot of sense to me. Do you, you said that doing this has helped you internally, right? I'm assuming that meant internally within your own position at the dealership. What does that look like as far as progression? Because I think this is a part that we don't talk about. Like when the decision makers at the store see you doing that, taking that initiative, putting that content out there, it kind of puts you in a different place in their eyes, right? Like for promotions and things of that. It must, does it not? I mean, have you had those interactions?
Absolutely. I get options all the time of jumping from other dealerships as well. I'm not one to jump from them, but just getting out there and getting known. Mm-hmm. But also, obviously, your pay. I mean, I would have never thought in a million years you can make six figures selling cars. But it's there if you put in the effort. And that's the difference between the guys that do the content and that are pulling, 5-10 sales a month off of their personal social media. Obviously, your dealer is going to be like, man, that's great. It's actually 120 cars a year that you're pumping out that we would have never reached out to. And just showing that you're promoting them. Obviously, they love it. Why would you not? And you're doing something rather than just waiting for that up bus to come by and drop them off at your front door.
Yes, dude. I love that because I feel like there's a lot of that these days, man. Like the salesmanship. Yeah, dude, the salesmanship of it is just gone. And now with the BDCs and everything, you don't even have to call your customers, right? Everything's kind of set up. So are you going to I maybe this is too early of a question for you, but are you looking at the next step, or you're having so much success that it's kind of like, why would I even move from here and take on more responsibility?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Cirillo about that, Mike Cirillo, about when you get into this industry, I find early on you got to figure out what it is you want out of this industry. And that's where you're really going to focus in on how to build that career. I've already done, as I told you, with my commercial maintenance company, I've done the overseeing of employees and the babysitting in the background. And you know what? I am completely content going home at the end of the day and not having to deal with the stress or coming in and only worrying about myself. Maybe, different each in their own. But you can make more than your sales manager if you put out the right product. Yeah. You don't deal with every angry face coming in. It's got an issue with that, and you're not babysitting. So the thing I love about the idea is you only have yourself to be accountable for. Mm-hmm. And you can be only successful as you push yourself. Where when you put yourself into management, you put yourself into something like that, you're only successful as your team. And you're relying on a lot of uncontrollables.
Yes.
That's big thing. So, I mean, to each their own. By all means, I will encourage anybody that wants to move up to the next step, the sales manager, the GSM, maybe even possibly own your own dealership. But for me, I like my time off. I like knowing that my job is my job. And when I come in, and that's, the cutoff at it. And I'm content with the money you make. It's finding that happy medium. How much money do you really want to make versus how much time and stress do you want to deal with? And that's kind of the key to this. And I have found my niche. I love what I do. And I won't ever come off the sales floor. I basically, when these guys brought me on here, they said, we got a big opportunities for people that you want to work their way in. I'll stop right there. I'll be straight with you. Keep me on the floor. That is where I want to be. And that is all the headaches I want. Don't put this carrot of management in front of me. I don't want it. I'm happy where I am.
That's awesome, dude. That's great. I think that there's a lot of people confused in the industry about that, dude. They're doing great on the floor. They're selling a bunch of cars. Then they move up into management and they're miserable. It's like, dude, for what? For the title? Like, I don't understand the thought there.
Ego. Yeah. At the end of the day, like I said, finding that just the perfect mix of what works for you. And as I said, I can't believe how well sales works. And at the end of the day, you're not dealing with a lot of headaches that you would be moving up to the next step. And really, if the money's endless as a sales rep too. You just continuously grow. And as everybody knows in this industry, if you can look at this career as an ongoing career, not just a job, building the portfolio, building your clientele, building the referrals, it's just something that comes together so quickly. Why would you want to get rid of that to jump onto a sales manager? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. No.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Next, Ali Rita here, folks. So you're gonna break the record, dude, with that mindset. All right, let's talk about the reaction. I always like when I have people like you on, like Bowtie Terrence, these guys that are doing it right. In my opinion, I mean, they're definitely taking advantage. You guys are definitely leveraging the platform and doing it right. What is the reaction like that you get? And when I say that, I don't mean like when you're out in the mall and somebody recognizes you. Oh, you're the guy from no. I'm talking about when you're in the dealership and you're not waiting for the up bus because you're full of appointments and you're busy and things are just popping. What is that like? You know what I mean? And then you can tie it back to the effort, right? To what you're doing and getting your name out there and the exposure and all those things.
Well, obviously, with your coworkers, when you first start, they go, "Who's this douchey prick walking in?" You're gonna have again hater, but you grow up. But I get it. I mean, it's a threat at the end of the day.
Sure.
But I mean, just constant. I've been called the Truckinator, Mr. Dodge. I mean, at the end of the day, the guy with the red boots. I don't care as long as the customers that are walking through comfortable enough to reach out to me and say something. And then I've had the clientele that let alone I'm buying a Chrysler or a Dodge product, I'm buying it off the DodgeFater. Just small things like that, or I'm Italian. How many times have you seen the Godfather? And
sure.
Yeah, but they love it. It's to find your niche, and it definitely helps. Again, just building a bond with the customer. It's something different out there, right? So that does make a huge difference. Exactly.
Does your card have the thing with the marionette and the?
I only got the hashtag Dodgefater rated on that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty cool, man. I really I like the whole package. I think it's pretty smart. It's pretty clever. All right, dude. So we're getting close to that time. I wanted to give you a minute to talk about whatever's going on in your world. Like, what do you want to talk about? If you are willing to help others and you want people to connect with you, how can they do that? Do you have any words of wisdom for those who are tuning in? And if you can impact them in one way, shape, or form, what would that be?
Well, I'll go on about just helping other sales reps out there. That's what I love about these podcasts. I love about just getting out there, doing these with, guys like you that have, been on here with tons of people. And I like to say to you guys is, I don't know how the hell in Las Vegas they're even talking about the Dodge, but you get down there. And I've had people in seminars down in Wisconsin. And, hey, Dodge, I just want to let you know that you came up in one of our discussions today at a meeting. And how the hell am I even reached out there?
Yep.
And then guys like these places that found me on LinkedIn. I get constantly people always telling me on LinkedIn when I first started with it, You know, I love your videos, stuff like that. And I always will appreciate it. Thank you so much for the feedback. And two of the Maroni guys ended up reaching out to me. I had no idea who the hell either of them were. After the one conversation about it, like, you should come down for a coffee. You know, who the hell is this? The owner part. All I'm saying is you're getting recognition out there, and it travels a lot further than you really would know. I'm amazed at such a small idea of just something so simple, that it's traveled so far, and that I'm getting as much recognition as it is. And I wanted to tell people that are trying to get into this industry or are in this industry, this is the next step, guys. Like, I know everybody wants to stay comfortable. They want to feel comfortable, but growth doesn't come from comfortability, guys. You have to get uncomfortable to get to that next level. And as the videos progress, it'll get better. I mean, maybe videos aren't your thing, but you know what? Just keep doing it, because sales is your thing. And this is what's going to help you reach the next level. You really need to see the ongoing, you know, track to where this is going to lead you to. There has to be building blocks, and you have to start somewhere. Like anything in life, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And I can tell anybody out there that's questioning it, it works for me. It will work for anybody. There's no secret formula to it. Just get your ass out there, get comfortable, and do the social media, do, you know, whatever you can to separate yourself from the pack. Because that was when I got in this game. I wanted to not be just Paul Long, Chrysler sales rep. I wanted to be a name that people knew and wanted to come to. And that's where the self-branding comes. And, you know, the media, the social media comes out of it, is you want to be more than just a sales rep, because we all sell the same products. We have 4 Chrysler dealerships here in London. I literally have one that's right down there. I could throw a rock at another Chrysler dealership. So what makes you different? If you're not going to be beating up, you don't want to be beat down on price to be the best sales rep. You know what I mean? And that's another thing that I've had that I can really say will help any other sales rep getting into this. Your hardest customers are your walk-ins. I have people that come in on social media, and you know what? I have literally sold cars sight unseen off of social, because they treat me, they trust me, and they treat me like they, you know, it's a good deal. They understand me, and the loyalty's there. Those are the easiest deals you can possibly get, the best referrals you can get, and they will sign on first pencil because they trust you, right? At the end of the day, they're not sitting here going 5 different Chrysler dealerships. I don't care your sales rep's name, man. Beat that price.
Yeah.
That's really the big difference about branding as well, is that you're doing something different to make them feel like it's worth coming to you over the average sales. And that's the scheme of things. That's what you want to be. You want to be the guy that they'll go out of their way to see.
Yeah, dude, I love everything you just said. And in particular, I need to touch on that last portion there, because you're absolutely correct, man. Like the price game, why would you play that? And when you do these things, when you create exposure for yourself, what you're really doing is you're becoming an authority in that field, in that space. And when you're an authority, people trust you from the outset. And that's really, really important, especially in the car business, because of the stigma, you know? And so, you know, you can break that barrier in advance, man. It's going to make your job a lot easier. And that's another thing that social media does for this particular industry that I think a lot of us don't really recognize. So you're 100% correct, man. That was brilliant. So how do we get in touch with you, man? Do you mind if people want to reach out and just get your advice, or?
By all means, I always love helping out anybody else there that is going to, you know, take anything from where I've been. I'm a firm believer in you never know everything. Okay, I read a lot of motivational books, but there are literally things that you can have 1,000 people tell you don't take in, and then one time somebody says it to you that finally hits, and that is where I just want to be. Like, everyone tells you just do it. Well, I'm telling you guys, I am putting the proof in the pudding that I've never made it so easy to make the transition up into sales, being comfortable and seeing where it's got me. As far as a guy from Vegas here, like you said, the dealer talk is sitting here, you know, chatting with me over this. But yeah, the key is, guys, just get your ass out there and just do it, because you will see the transition happen quick. And what do you have to lose besides your ego? Drop the ego at the door and just get out there and do something different.
Right on. So go to the show notes. We'll put your information in the show notes. People can reach out to you there. Is that cool?
Facebook, on Instagram. Basically, just hashtag TheDodgefater on Google, and it'll follow you anywhere that you can find me on there.
There it is. All right, man. So thank you so much for doing this, dude. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, this is awesome. So one question I ask everybody that comes on the show, and that question is, where do you see the automotive industry headed in the next 5 years and why?
I see a huge, well, for one, with COVID, we've killed, the new car market for the time being. It seems that the used car market's really jumped up. But I feel like the COVID's really helped out a lot online. I've always had that strong sense of belief that we are going to slowly progress more and more and more online. As we all know, we hear 1,000 times, our consumers are taking in 90% more content online than they ever were. 100 times over, they're doing their research. They know their product well before they talk to you. So I just keep seeing it progress more and more to this seamless transaction of helping online. And as shitty as the situation as COVID is, I think it's just moved the market where we've taken the next 5 or 10 years and we've shortened it up to the next year or two, where we're really seeing a lot of consumers really pressing on that. So online is really the next step. I mean, you'll always have the customers that want to come in and test drive the vehicles, but online couldn't be more important through these times that we've been through. And I think it's just kind of helped everybody adapt and starting to overcome the objections that they're going to be dealing with in the next 2, 3, 4 years as the market slowly keeps progressing more and more to online.
There it is, folks. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Paul, thank you so much. Paul Long, everybody, the Dodgefater. That's all the time that we have today. Thank you for tuning in. And as usual, we'll talk later.
We only host a well-respected. The vendor LexisNexis. We don't sell digital marketing.
What you do?
We inspect it with our DT vendor management solutions. We come in like the EPA to clear out the pollution.
Take the trash
Go
out.
keep your P&L clean. Your inventory.
From product pitches, meetings to cost negotiations, your vendors have you swamped. You have cars to sell, but most of your time goes in managing your vendor relationships. Wouldn't it help to have someone navigate the way ahead? Enter Dealer Talk Vendor Management Solutions. A filter between you and your vendor so you only have to deal with what's most important. We inspect your digital data to get optimum results for your money. Here's what we do. Give you an accurate idea of what's working and what's not for every digital service. Get vendors to submit monthly highlights, lowlights, and recommendations. Sift through their data to give you those metrics that matter. Evaluate all package, content, or cost changes and product pitches. Do monthly marketing budget analysis to ensure better ROIs. Finally, we give you concise reports and monthly videos with actionable insights. Now, you can focus on what really matters, selling cars. Contact us today and your first 30 days are free. Let's build your business together.